Thank you all. Well, it looks like most people are on, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is one in our series of Balancing Life sessions, and today we get to go a little fun and lighthearted right before we head into the weekend and talk about family fun. And many of us are doing lots of different things at home and figuring out strategies and sometimes looking for ideas that can involve varying ages in our families and varying interests in our families is, we run out of ideas pretty quickly. So we'll hear some tips and ideas from our speakers on today. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A. And I'm hoping that you have some great tips and things that you've done or tried that you'd be willing to share at the end. And I'm Crystal Tyler-Mackey, welcoming you on behalf of the Virginia Cooperative Extension Human Development Program team and NC State to this session. So we'll start off with Karen. Karen Tanner's going to share some ideas, and she'll transition to Mitzi Downing. And then we'll go to Bethany Eigel and Zona and hear those ideas, and then we'll come back for a Q&A and for tip sharing. So Karen, you're up.
All right, well, I will wait for that slide to come up, but in the meantime, let me give you a little bit of a background about my family dynamics, and that's a picture of my 3 little ones. Now, and I say little because they're really not. And when you look at them, actually, he looks so little because that was taken 3 years ago almost, of that little baby picture. But my family is a little bit different. We started when I was 24 and, teaching, and that was 20 years ago. With our family. So, and we ended at age 40. I had another one by choice, just felt like my family wasn't done and there was something missing. And so we added what we call our midlife crisis toy. And he truly is that. So at the moment, I have a 20-year-old, a 14-year-old, and I say 14-year-old because it's coming in like a week, and a 3-year-old who will be 4 at the end of next month. So I have quite the gamut. We've had quite an array of experiences with that, kind of dynamics that we have. Having one in college has its advantages. Right now it has its advantages because she's back here, which I hate it for her, but she's home, just kind of doing all of her stuff online. It does help with my childcare situation that I have someone here, but she's still trying to balance everything. And then of course I've got an 8th grader that's now finishing his 8th grade year and going into high school next year. So there's often a challenge in trying to find activities that are going to engage everybody in the family. With that big of a gap, you have things that little one cannot do, but you also find that those older ones kind of revert to doing things that they probably wouldn't be doing on a normal basis with their friends. So you wouldn't see that my, 13-year-old would be running around with Matchbox cars and, making tracks all through our house. So there's kind of some interesting dynamics with that. But I pulled apart some different activities that we have found as a family that we have done. I wish I had taken more pictures with these, but these are some things that have actually worked for us in trying to do some things that our youngers and our olders, being able to kind of sit there and do some things with the family. So recently we painted rocks and hid them around the neighborhood for others to find. That was something that my toddler could do, very different pictures than what my 20-year-old was able to produce by all means, but we enjoyed being able to kind of carry those around and hide them around the neighborhood. This one is my favorite one, creating a time capsule. I think I look back and I used to be a public school teacher and school administrator years ago, and there's such value in that history of family. And so I think about this time and it reminds me of back when my grandmother used to tell me stories about the Great Depression. And I think we need to tell our children and teach our children how to create some history and record that. We don't do it. We rely on our cell phones, but what if those are gone? We may not be able to way to record that history. So taking the time, we started creating a journal. We haven't completed our time capsule. We started putting some things into a box and kind of labeling it COVID. Just some unique and different things that we've done. We've added rocks to that box that hopefully my kids can kind of go back to and be able to share those with their children down the road, because I truly think that this experience is going to become history for our grandchildren by all means, or their grandchildren by all means. Family TikTok challenges. So I know that there's some risks with TikTok, and we're pretty picky about what we allow and what we observe, and kind of trying to filter some of that. But there are some family TikTok challenges that are out there, and we have taken advantage of those, doing some dance challenges and things as a family. the toddler just looks cute dancing around in the corner. And it works, and it increases my daughter's, likes and views, and she's happy and thrilled. Creating a family or meal with random ingredients. We actually made it a challenge. So my teenager, 13-year-old, and I teamed up with my husband and my daughter, and we had random ingredients that we pulled out, and Gouda cheese was the random, it had to have Gouda cheese, and everything else was whatever I had. Now, the advantage was that I had just stockpiled, so there was plenty of choices in there. I'd like to do it at the end of the 2-week grocery shopping to actually see what's there. It might have to get extremely more creative in that essence, but we had fun. And Keaton, my youngest, just kind of went back and forth and helped with whichever team needed something he could do at that time, so he could sort and toss things in. We built a family obstacle course. So I didn't necessarily do that. I was actually, while I was working, the teenagers built a family obstacle course for the little one. And so it started in the house, and then when the sun came out and it got warmer, it worked its way out from the screen porch and into the backyard. And so they kind of created these obstacles for him to have to do. Tie-dye shirts together. We've not done that since we were in the social distancing realm, but we do that often in the summer, tie-dyeing the shirts. It's something that's easy to do. Video game night. This happens often in my house because the toddler wants to play. But if you give him an unconnected controller, he has no idea. And he thinks he's playing, he thinks he's winning. Everybody's happy. And so he actually will hold a controller for a different video device. He has no idea. It doesn't matter to him. He's going to town and he's playing and he thinks he's won. So we will often do that with him, hand him the controller, he thinks he's playing. Build a fort and watch a movie. So blanket forts, that's something that can be easily done anywhere in the house. Build the fort and then pop up a laptop, the iPad, or make it to where you do it in your den where you can see a TV, and have a family movie night under that fort. Hibachi night. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. There's been like a little challenge going on in and around Facebook on hibachi night, and can you do it? So fortunately we had 2 griddles and we're able to do a hibachi night and actually cook by the girls. We love hibachi in our house, and so that's kind of a regular when my daughter comes in from college. So couldn't do it, so we decided that we would do it ourselves. So it was fun, and there was egg all over my table in the process because they all thought the egg had to be, shot and sorted and twitched, and it was a mess, but it was worth it and it was fun. So just expect to clean if you do attempt that, especially if you pass it to the teenagers to do the cooking. Make your own pizzas or ice cream sundaes. The make your own pizzas is at least every other week, if not sometimes every week in our house, because again, the toddler, it's hands-on for him. He can grab his own toppings. He can place them on his pizza. It doesn't matter. Same thing with ice cream sundaes. Just letting them have that ownership and what they're doing is key. Indoor outdoor camping night. So we have done this inside. We popped up a tent and did the camping night kind of in the den when this kind of first started. Popped up a small 2-man tent and had like camping in the den. Watched movies, did everything. I'd like to move it to the screen porch. That's kind of my next adventure. I am not a camper, but it's been years since I have been in a tent, but I could handle the screen porch, I think, in doing that. So we may slowly progress to that. The easy one, to bake and decorate cookies, that's easy. And that's something that definitely all ages can enjoy and to do. And then another friend of ours had introduced the Minute to Win It games. And our colleague from our human development team had suggested that, and absolutely, the cookie down your face. There's some quick and easy ones with some everyday items. If you've ever put items in the back of a tissue box and strapped it to your back and shook to try to get those things out in less than a minute, it is priceless. So take advantage. Those are things you can easily search and find. So I wish you guys best of luck in trying to keep all of them active. It is often a challenge, but the more activities that you can do, best chance at keeping them going.
All right. Well, I am going to share my screen now. Okay, you guys. I hope if you give me a thumbs up, everybody, if you can see this screen. Perfect. All right. I'm going to leave it this way because it loads faster. Thank you so much, Crystal, for inviting me to be here today. My name is Mitzi Downing, and I am the Assistant State Program Leader for 4-H. in North Carolina at NC State University. And it's a real honor to be here on such a fun day where we talk about really cool things to do with our young people, right? And so I want to start off by saying that everything that I'm putting up here for you today is fun and has been tried and tested by my family and by several others. I asked my son, I only have one child, Noah, and so a little bit about my family. My husband, Clay, is really a big 16-year-old. I mean, that's just kind of how he is. And Noah, who is 14, who is absolutely delightful. Just like any other normal 14-year-old, loves to be outside and do all kinds of things. And then we have a chocolate lab as well. So that kind of just gives you a little bit of summation for us. But I asked him about some of the fun things that have been going on in our world. And I asked some of our state council youth last night, actually, about some of their suggestions. And I implemented one of theirs into this as well. So to kind of get us started, I don't know how many of you have caught yourself in the last couple of weeks asking yourself this question: what day is it? What day is it? I don't know. About Thursday of each week, I'm finding myself back thinking it's Wednesday. So that kind of inspired me to this first one. But it's something that we do quite often in my family, and that is, what day is it anyway? And so I'll challenge you to think about the fact that pretty much every day there is a national day that's going on. So for instance, today is National Pigs in a Blanket Month. Now, I don't know about you, but of course, I sound like I'm from the South, and I am from the South. And so I grew up eating pigs in a blanket. And if you're wondering, what is that? It's really just a hot dog that can be done in, crescent rolls, or just put in, any type of bread. But probably the most fun that we've had with our Pigs in the Blanket day over the past several years hasn't necessarily been around the actual hot dog and the pigs in the blanket. It's been creating the best condiment to go along with it. So there's an idea. So if you're wondering, what can I do today, and you're at a loss because, lots of us we've kind of exhausted our ideas. Think about, what day is it? If you've got an Alexa, I have to be quiet in my house because she'll start talking to me here in a minute. Ask her, what is today? And she'll tell you. Sunday, for instance, is, of course, National Kids and Pets Day. So take some time, do some fun things with your furry friends. You see a picture of Cash here, and we've had guinea pigs for years and years. We're one of those people who brought the guinea pig home during a holiday track out, and guess what? It just keeps going. So we have a guinea pig, right? So you just have to, swing with it. Also, National Superhero Day is coming up on April the 28th. And I don't know about you, but even as a 14-year-old, Noah has a lot of Halloween costumes out there. So just a fun day to everybody put on a Halloween costume, mom, dad, grandparents, whatever. But I also think about the fact that there are a lot of superheroes who don't have that kind of magical powers. There are superheroes that are bagging our groceries, of course, and helping us in our communities, people who are bringing deliveries to our homes, and things like that. So maybe there's some creative ways that you can also honor those individuals with some street signs, or post something up on your windows, or however you would like to do it. Write a letter, drive by the fire department. I don't know about you, but we also are really enjoying just getting in our cars and driving. We don't get out anywhere, but we just see the places. So maybe drive by the fire department and honk a few times at them. Eventually they'll get the idea of what you're trying to do. Fitness, we all could probably use a little bit more fitness. And so just take a look at those days that are out there. There's, again, lots of exciting things that I think you can do that's pretty simple from what's going on each day. All right. Next is my son's absolute favorite. And this we call shrinking space. Now, some of you in the 4-H world probably have lots of different names for this one. But in our world, shrinking space happens inside and outside. And so what we can do is we will pull in a jump rope, we'll pull painter's tape. I've used a variety of different things. And we start off with a circle that's pretty large. And then after we've mastered that, everybody's got to get in the circle. You make it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then of course you think, what other obstacles could you add to this? So sometimes we've been known to add a footstool. So now we've got to incorporate the footstool into it. And sometimes we've incorporated large things where somebody has to hold it above their head to get it all in. Now, so how could you do this? We've also done this outside in our community because we are fortunate enough to at least live in a cul-de-sac. And so what we've done is everybody's brought out their chalk and we've all agreed to how large the circle is. And families, of course, different sizes. And so sometimes somebody may have to sit out and around, but we do it as a competitive thing. We're 6 feet apart, but we're still enjoying each other's companies. And so it's a lot of fun. So shrinking space, inside or outside, you guys. The next, I like to call Minefield. Boom. And so to start off, you do need a rather kind of a large space for this. If you have a family room, you definitely could do it there. Front yard, backyard, even better, whatnot. Walk around your house and look for your mines. In my house, it's simple. There are baseball hats everywhere. There's baseball gloves everywhere. There's at least 15 Nerf guns that I can find or trip over on just about any day. So as you walk around, you're finding the toys and you're cleaning them up and you're picking them up, or maybe you scream, find the mines, and ask them to bring everything they can find on the floor. We're gonna set them out into the yard. Depending on the size of your family, split your family up into different groups. Karen's got lots of great ages, so maybe she's gonna mix her youngest with her oldest, or vice versa, or maybe it's gonna be youth versus parents, or however you wanna play this game out, or change it up. But you're gonna blindfold one person that's your team member, and the idea is to get across the minefield without stepping or touching on something. So again, sometimes it's on an honor system and families like mine, because we're all, usually working on it independently. But how are you gonna make that work out? You can do it by the number of crosses, like who gets across first may get the most points. In my family, because there's just 3 of us, we are typically doing it by time. So if I'm blindfolded, Clay, my husband may be giving me instructions while Noah's waiting. And so we're gonna do it by who gets across the quickest, but if you touch something, you're out. I'll also say that if you use the timer, it's an easy, tricky way to incorporate math into an event. Because what I didn't tell you about Noah is that he's mainstream, but he's also in special ed. So while he's in 7th grade, math and including some things like that in our strategies is always really important for us. So him thinking about, did his dad average that right, or is he tricking him and trying to win the contest? So sometimes he has to double check the math behind him. But again, don't forget to reset those minefields in between rounds, but it is a lot of fun, I promise. And the last, Karen also brought this up, not the last, but the next one, Karen also brought this up, is our quarantine jam. And we've had a lot of fun with this one. Not only have we come up with songs, whether it's something like, you can't touch this, you get it, you can't touch this, or don't stand so close to me. That was a brand new song for Noah. He'd never heard that one before, but I know all of us out there who are parents have probably heard that one. But coming up with something that can be your family jam and making it a contest. I don't know. There's a lot of brain research, and I didn't bring that to the table today, but a lot of brain research, especially around middle schoolers, that says that frontal lobe is all about rewards and excitement. And so competitions can trigger a lot of that excitement for them. So how can you do that in a kind of a healthy way? So in our house, we've been able to come up with a couple of different jams and come up with a dance. You certainly could post it on a variety of different Facebook sites, or Facebook sites or social media sites, whatever you'd like to do. You can even turn it into a week-long activity by extending it and having each person in your family come up with that dance or skit or activity to go along with that song. And then they have to sell it to the family. A vote may happen, or a bribe in my world anyway. People bribe at my house. And then you can, of course, teach the other people in your family how to do it and post it, or challenge other people. Also, something that we really enjoyed is that design process. Making a paper airplane. Again, a great activity to do inside, outside, beautiful days, loop-de-loops, the longest throw, the most creative, the paper airplane with the most folds that it took to get there, the one using the heaviest paper but still managed to cross the line. And I've included a website here that gives you more paper airplanes than you will probably ever be able to make. And last, but really certainly not least, because I know so many of you have definitely looked at Virginia Tech's site, I invite you all to come and take a look at the North Carolina Facebook site as well, because every day we've got something great and cool that's going on. These are the things that are happening next week. So I challenge everybody to show up on April 28th, where we're going to dissect some owl pellets, because you may think it's gross, but it's pretty cool. I promise it really is pretty cool. And so I've had fun, and I hope there are lots of questions, but I know my time's running short, so we'll probably get to those at the end. So thank you, guys.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It's hard to follow those two acts. Awesome. We're like taking notes over here on all those great activities. My name is Bethany Eigel, and I am the state program leader for families here in Virginia, and I'm also a 4-H youth development agent. And this is my daughter, Zona, and she is definitely our resident experienced tween, but she is getting close to being a teenager. She is 12 and a half. So we're going to share a couple slides, and she's going to start with some ideas that she and her friends have really found engaging during this sometimes difficult time. So we'll just go. I need to move this toolbar so we can see. So hold on a second. You guys know how. All right, now we're cooking. So Zona is a tween still, coming out of that a little bit, but with tweens, you know, the parents are still an important part of that social circle, and definitely the friends are a very, very important part of her world, and going through a lot of changes, right? Physical, emotional, all that good stuff. And definitely this age group loves to lead, loves to have responsibility, but they want help too. And they'll still come to mom and dad and look for that support. And so just keep those things in mind, those characteristics in mind when you're thinking about, sorry, Zoe. When you're thinking about some of the things that you can do with your tweens. But you want to start off with talking about the Libby app?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know about Libby, but the Libby app is just a great app, and you have a lot of access to different books. Like I personally cannot find a lot of the books that are on the Libby app in my library, at my school, or at my local library. And also my mom reads a lot, but she's also a big introvert. I find reading by myself very isolating, so I definitely got a friend that I can read the same book with, and actually stay on the same pages, and we actually discuss each chapter together.
And that's kind of a motivating
Yeah.
factor for you. Yeah, so that's a good one. And then what about some of the other things you've done for your mental health, especially? I know sometimes you were mentioning to me, what are some of the things that your friends and you have done?
Yeah, so my best friend and I actually do facial treatments together. We try and use the same products and actually we'll FaceTime at the same time of the day that we're doing it. We also do yoga together sometimes in the morning. So we'll listen to the same tape or we'll just do the same poses. And also my mom and I go on different walks almost every day later in the afternoon. Just getting physical exercise is really just releases the stress and helps me stay sane.
Good. And so they were talking about food challenges,
Yeah.
Miss Karen was, and Starbucks is your little kryptonite.
Yeah.
But what have you done to kind of alleviate that fix that you don't get? And yes, please, out there in Zoom land, don't judge me, but my 12-year-old does drink coffee. She needs it like I do to function in the morning. So what have you done?
I actually just asked my mom if she could grab some ingredients at the store when she went out to get like some normal stuff, and she got just like some quick 5 ingredients, and it's really easy to make, just like my favorite caramel frappuccino, and it almost tastes exactly like the one at Starbucks, and it's just good because after all of the important things, I know Starbucks isn't that important, but I do think it's cool that I can make my own drink, and I actually don't even really need to go to Starbucks anymore.
And to make it a little more educational, we've also talked about how it's cost saving, right? And how expensive it is to go to Starbucks on a regular basis. And she's been amazed at how easy it's been to make her own at home. So this might be a trend that lasts and saves us all some money, although she does use gift cards from grandparents and things like that. And then what was the last thing? And this almost drove me crazy, but like week 2 of quarantine, I came home and her entire bedroom was out in the hallway. But what did you think about that?
So pretty much I just thought, like, if I'm gonna be in here for like 7-ish months, then I'm gonna have to do something to my room and take advantage of my space, because I've definitely had a clustered room. I also have some friends that actually bought paint and have redone and made over their room, which is just really interesting. And we haven't personally done yard projects, but if you have the time and you're really crafty, you can definitely do that.
And she found that when she was doing all that reorganizing, which we always say we're going to clean out our closets, we're going to do this and that, and we don't get to it. Well, this time she made big bags of clothing, and her school still has the donation drop-off box. So we went on a couple of walks back and forth from the house. It was good exercise, and dropped those bags off. So it turned into an exercise and all that good stuff. Very good job. All right, so I'm gonna quickly go because I know we're running short on time, but with teens, and I have 2 bonus boys. My husband and I are a blended family, and they are 16 and 14. So I have some personal knowledge of it, and also with my teens that I work with in the programming through 4-H. But friends become a much higher priority for them, and it's not that they don't still very much need the parents' involvement, but friends, that is the number one thing that most of the teens I'm talking to right now, they're missing that a lot. They're missing those social connections. They're missing their freedom. And so that's part of what they're going through too. So, you know, listen to how they're feeling and try to understand what motivates them and how you can get them involved. And I love Karen's ideas of getting her older ones to be engaged and involved with the younger ones by just putting them in charge of organizing some of those activities. And that's something that I listed there first. And then I can't take credit for this one. I haven't done this one yet, but I was listening in on another presentation by a great organization called Operation Parent. And one of the moms has her teens actually build her grocery list on ClickList. I was like, oh my gosh, that is genius. Because you sit there trying to figure out and it takes forever. Well, hand your phone to your teen and they can do the meal planning too, right? So when you come home from your quick 2-week grocery shopping spree and they're like, you didn't get this, you didn't get that. Have them create it and you go pick it up, and it's awesome. And then they might be more engaged with helping to cook those meals as well. A lot of my teen club members, when I kind of surveyed them, they have taken the time to learn new skills. And you'll see the quote in the middle of the screen. A lot of them were expressing this, but one teen in particular, I had to capture their quote, that they took this as a positive sign, like, I'm gonna let myself just enjoy this time and take the time to learn a new skill or to just take care of myself. And you heard that with Zona, just doing those facials and some relaxation. She would never have woken up in the morning and done yoga with a friend. And, you know, during the school year, it's just so busy. And I think a lot of them are stepping back and saying, maybe I was a little overscheduled. Maybe this is nice to take a step back and actually just breathe. All of us, and I'm enjoying that process as well. And then finally, couple other things. I know that we tend to read a lot of articles, and as parents, or aunties or whoever you are, whatever role you're playing with kids, screen time is bad. Screen time is negative, and we want to limit that, and it's been kind of drilled in. And while that is true, we surely don't want to just be sucked into our screens all day long. I've come to recognize how important that is as a social time, especially for the kids right now. They're not in school. They're not able to connect physically with their friends. And so with my two bonus boys, they are on those video games and they got the headsets and they're talking to friends though. They're playing those video games with their friends. One of my teens told me about this online, it's a gaming company out of Chicago, and I was like, I've never heard of it. It's called Jackbox Games. And then come to find out, I was listening to NPR a couple weeks ago, and NPR was covering Jackbox Games. And so it is a family friendly, you can order certain kits of games, and they say it's awesome and very interactive. We haven't tried it yet, but we might. But even just having FaceTime with our friends, and just recognizing that during this period, there might be some increased screen time, but it might also be that they're reading a book on the screen, so that's okay. And then the last thing is that putting my 4-H agent hat back on, community service and making that available, we've got some great partnerships. One of them is called Friendship Circle, and it normally matches 2 teens with special needs youth in our community. It's a buddy system. It's just fun. The teens go to the house and actually play games with this. It's usually a teenager, and it's called Friendship Circle. Well, they've moved everything virtually, so now they just do Zoom sessions with their buddy, and it's great. It's a great alternative. It's wonderful that the teens are still able to accumulate community service hours, but you know, even if it's not formally through 4-H, I tell them whatever you can do to help your neighbor, pull their trash can back in from the curb, you know, help them with whatever they might need. And you can kind of like just leave your phone number in their mailbox and just let them know, hey, I'm here. Text me if you need anything. And so we've just found some unique, fun ways to connect in our community as well. So I will end there, and thank you all so much.
Thank you all. That was really interesting, and I have all kinds of ideas that I want to think about for my weekend and moving forward. So if any of you have questions for any of our speakers, if you would drop those in the chat box, that would be great. And there are people who are posting in the chat box, and it's only being seen by the panelists at this point, but I wanted to let those online know that people are saying great job, Zona. They love the ideas that you shared, as well as from all of the other presenters. And so we are trying very diligently to stick to our time and be focused on the many varied responsibilities that we each have. And so what we will do following this session is we will send out a link to the recording, as well as all of the resources that have been shared, a link to the Facebook pages that have been mentioned. And we'd love to glean from your ideas and compile them. And so I've just put my email address in the chat box for you. If you would please share your tips, ideas, activities that you've heard about, or you've done, you've tried, they're fun. Please put them together and send them to me by 5 o'clock today. We will compile all of those and then send a follow-up email that has all of the resources that we've shared, what you've given, others that we are aware of, as well as a link to next week's session when we'll be coming together and talking about resiliency. And so at this point, I just want to thank all of our speakers for sharing this information with us, these ideas and tips. And I want to thank all of you for attending and wish everyone a fun-filled weekend. Thanks all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Enjoy the weekend.